This is a loop, and today we're going to go over what those are. There's two different types. Number one is a while loop. A while loop will go on forever or never or until a condition is hit, right? You decide what you want those to be. The second loop is a for loop. This one is like more specifically, a for loop is usually used for a very specific type of condition, right? Typically while loops are used for true false, whereas for loops you want them to count a certain number or perfect parameter, that kind of thing, right? They're kind of very similar. So this is a while loop, right? And it's a very simple one. Right here we have the variable set, so we're going to set our variable to 0. Then we have an anchor point. This is literally just a label. That's all that this is, right? Then we have the variable count. This one, what it does, it takes your counter variable and adds 1 to it, and you'll see how that works in a minute. Then we want to output our count number, the new one, wait 500 seconds, and then go back to the anchor label, right? So Tasker doesn't have an official loop, okay? Because it doesn't have its own official loop function, you have to get creative with ifs and this, right? In fact, you could, in theory, if you really wanted to, just get rid of this anchor. It's literally just a label, right? Because every action, as far as I know, have these labels down here. Start. So if I did that, right? There you go. So start of while loop, right? We don't actually need this. I can just turn this off, and then we'll go to the goto. And all this does is this is telling it if this hits, jump to a different something, right? So this goto action has action number, action label, top of loop, end of if. I always default to action label because it's the easiest way for me to know for a fact that I'm going exactly where I want to go, right? So we're going to say go to action label, and look at that. We have both of our action labels. We're going to say that one because the other one is sleeping. So if I run this, there you go. Here's your count, and it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why is it going on forever? Timeout. Okay. Oh wait, this is a while loop. That's why. It's supposed to go on forever. So right now this is a while true loop, right? If nothing happens, right, it's just going to keep going on forever till infinity. As long as you want it to go, you have to be really careful with these because if you set them to start running without any parameters, they will run forever, drain your battery, maybe even restart Tasker. Like, it can cause problems, right? And then if you have them set to false, for example, if I go to this goto, right, and I said add an if statement, so if, and I say counter, I want this to say is less than negative 500, this will never happen, right? Yeah, this will never happen. So this isn't going to run. It's not going to run because it's saying to send this action, like start back at the top right here at start of loop. Start back there only if counter is less than 500, but we're starting at 0. That's not going to happen, right? So while loops are pretty fun. Because of this, you can set them up to, or this one specifically, the way that you would set this up to continue or only go until a certain point in time is when we use for loops. So for loops, you set up the exact same way, mostly. You still have your variable set, right? So you're going to set the counter to 0. You still have your anchor point, which you can change that to any other label. I just like to keep it clean with an anchor point. Set the variable, flash, wait 500 seconds, and then this is where it turns into a for loop, per se, right? Down here in the if statement, we say if the counter is less than 5, activate, right? You don't really get like if else here, you get if this happens, and you can add a bunch of them if you wanted to. So if, and, or, like all of these, you just use these to whichever way you want, but it only really activates off of true. So like you can do the backwards thing where you're like, I only want this to work if counter does not match, I don't know, 25. That would be true too, right? And it'll go up to 25, but we want it to go up to 5 because then it'll continue. So that being said, what is this? Get rid of that. Thank you very much. Cool. So now this loop is only going to go up till 5 because it's not going to skip over 5 because why would it? It's only going to go by 1 for every half second, right? 500 milliseconds is half a second. And we have this flash, which will show us when it's complete. So if I click this, it'll count to 5 and it's done. That's it. That's how you create a for loop inside of Tasker. You can use this in a ton of different ways. You can use this because you can use different variables inside of these if statements. And you can even, if you really wanted to, you could go in here and type in if. And now you have more granular control, whatever. Right? You can have end ifs, else ifs, like those kinds of things. We're going to just add this in here. And then you can literally just take this and nest it inside of an if statement. And now you're rocking and rolling. Go create something with this. Oh my God. I wanted to keep this one as short and sweet as possible. I wanted to give you only the nuggets and none of the waste. I'm trying to cut these videos back. So let me know in the comments any questions that you have. See you in the next one. Signing off.